Good morning, students. Welcome back. So here we are with your chapter My Childhood, which is written by APJ Abdul Kalam, and it is an extract from his autobiography Wings of Fire. APJ Abdul Kalam was a phenomenal scientist, and apart from that, he was a very wonderful human being. APJ Abdul Kalam was even our 11th President of India, and his contribution in science is very noteworthy. Students, you can see his picture. So it is a picture of APJ Abdul Kalam, and on the right hand side it is his childhood picture. So here my childhood is by APJ Abdul Kalam, and here my refers to APJ Abdul Kalam. It is an extract from Wings of Fire, and Wings of Fire is autobiography which is written by APJ Abdul Kalam. Must read, students. If you ever get the chance to read from the library, please do visit and read Wings of Fire. So, I was born into a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile, that is former Madras state. So, APJ Abdul Kalam was born into middle class family, which was basically a Tamilian family, and he was born on island town of Rameshwaram, which is now Madras state. Here you can see on the right hand side of the picture there is the location of Rameshwaram. It is Tamil Nadu, and it is over here the Rameshwaram is being shown, which is basically an island. You can see over here, students. This is a place where he was born. So, my father, Jainul Abidin, here you can see the picture of his father, Jainul Abidin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth, which shows that his father was not a rich, wealthy person. Despite this disadvantage, he possessed great innate means inborn and natural wisdom and true generosity of spirit, which shows that even though his father was not very rich person, but he was very generous and he was very kind man. Here on the right hand side of the screen you can see the picture of a lady. She is APJ Abdul Kalam's mother. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiyamma. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. So she was the Ashiyamma, the mother of APJ Abdul Kalam, was so generous that along with the family members, she also fed other people which were outside from the family, also were being fed by her. Now, I was one of many children. So, there were many children, and among them, there was APJ Abdul Kalam. You can see in the picture. A short boy with rather undistinguished, that is, ordinary and common looks, born to tall and handsome parents. So, we can see over here that his parents were very handsome and tall, and he was a boy with the ordinary look. He was a simple a man with a simple looks. We lived in our ancestral house. Here you can see. Now it is made like this, but before it was like this. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of 19th century. So when was it built? It was built in the middle of 19th century, and it was fairly large pakka house made up of limestone and brick on the Moss Street in Rameshwaram. So where was it built? It was built on the Moss Street of Rameshwaram. Earlier it used to be look like this. Now it has been built like this. The picture below is the current picture, and the picture above is the picture which was before. My austere, that is simple, strict and severe. Austere means simple, strict and severe. Father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. So all the comforts and luxuries which are inessential were being avoided by his father, because he was a strict believer that we should not have those inessentials which are not necessary. However, all the necessities were provided for. All the inessentials were avoided, but all other necessary things were being provided for in terms of food, medicine or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally, as his father was very strict and he was a kind of austere, which means that he used to believe in leading a simple life. So he says that though his father was not his father was against living a luxurious life, but he has given all the basic necessities of the life. So the Abdul Kalam's childhood was very much peaceful with the material and materialistic and emotionally. Now, the Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. So when the Second World War happened in 1939, at that time our Abdul Kalam was just 8 years old. For reason I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. There was a certain demand of a tamarind. Tamarind is a imli. Basically, imli is known as tamarind. You can see in the picture. So there was a great demand of tamarind. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to provision shops on the mosque street. So what he used to do, he used to collect the seeds and he used to sell those seeds to the provisional shops on the mosque street, the street of the mosque. A day's collection would fetch me a princely sum, generous amount. Here, anik of 1 anna, an old Indian coin worth about 6 paisa. So what is said over here, that when he used to collect those seeds and he used to sell those seeds to the provisional store, he used to earn some princely sum. Okay. So my brother-in-law Jalaluddin was the husband of his sister, would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani, a Tamil Delhi newspaper. A Tamil Delhi newspaper was known as Dinamani. Our area being isolated means which was little lonely and cut off, as it was an island, was completely unaffected by the war. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces, the armies of UK, USA, Russia during the Second World War, and something like a state of emergency was declared. So what happened? All the information about the Second World War was being given by his brother-in-law Jalaluddin, and rest of the information he used to trace out from a daily newspaper which used to come in the Tamil. Now, as they were living in the island, on the island. It usually don't have a very large effects of the Second World War, but there were few things which were happening, like soon India has to join with other allied nations, which has actually resulted into the state of emergency which was being declared in the India. Now, the first casualty, that is loss, came in the form of the suspension, that is end of the train halt at Rameshwaram It was just a beginning when the first casualty, that is a loss, took place when the train didn't had a stop at the Rameshwaram station. That means that the train don't have to stop at the Rameshwaram. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanushkodi. So, the usually those newspapers which were used to travel from Rameshwaram to Dhanushkodi. So, as train didn't get the stop at Rameshwaram, so those newspapers had to be thrown on the Rameshwaram station. So, this was the first loss which took place, and that was lost because of a Second World War. Look here, it is shown the route Rameshwaram to Dhanushkodi. Now, that forced my cousin Samsuddin. Now, Jalaluddin was his brother-in-law, and Samsuddin was his cousin, who distributed newspaper in Rameshwaram to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally I felt the slot fit into the place easily. Samsuddin helped me earn my first wages. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride, sudden increase in the feeling of satisfaction derived from one's own achievement in earning my own money for the first time. So what happened? As the problem took place that they have to fetch the newspaper from the moving train, and his cousin Samshuddin used to catch or fetch those newspaper. So because of this problem, he has to there was a need of a person who can help him and who can fill the slot. So eventually APJ Abdul Kalam became his helping hand. He became the helping hand of the Samsuddin. So he was very happy as he was able to earn his own money. So he was very proud of earning that money, and he was happy. He was very much happy for by earning that money with the help of his cousin Samsuddin. Now, every child is born with some inherited characteristics into the specific social, economic, and emotional environment and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. A person who has authority over another person, a person who has the power to give orders or make decisions. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father. From my mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. So did my three brothers and sisters. So look students, we usually get the characteristics, we usually inherited the good characteristics from our parents. So eventually here our little boy APJ Abdul Kalam has also inherited the characteristics. So he had learned honesty and self-discipline from his father, and he has learned goodness. He has learned the goodness and deep kindness from her mother, and just like that his three brothers and sisters also inherited the good characteristics from their parents. I had three close friends. APJ Abdul Kalam had three close friends. One was Ramanda Shastri, second was Arvindan, and third was Shiva Prakash. First was Ramandan, second was Arvindan, and third was Shiva Prakash. All these boys were from orthodox, that is strict Hindu Brahmin families. As the children, none of us ever felt any difference among ourselves because of our religious difference and upbringing. During that time also, even though all these three were belonging from the strict Brahminical families, they never felt the differences because of the religion. They used to play peacefully and happily without any kind of differentiation and without any kind of you can say partiality or biasness. as APJ Abdul Kalam was Muslim and all his three friends were belonging to from a strict Brahminical Hindu family. In fact, Ramanda Shastri was a son of Pakshi Lakshman Shastri, the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. So, the Rameshwaram temple, the highest priest of the Rameshwaram temple, that was Pakshi Lakshman Shastri. Ramanda was the son of that priest. Okay. Later, he took over the priesthood of the Rameshwaram. So, after his father, Ramanda took over the priest of being priest. He took over the service of being priest over the temple of Rameshwaram. Arvindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims. So Arvindan went into the business of arranging transport of various pilgrims. Pilgrims are holy places. Pilgrims are holy places. And Shiv Prakash became a catering contractor of the Southern Railway. So Shiv Prakash became a catering contractor of the Southern Railway. So the Southern Railway's catering work was being done by Shiv Prakashan. Okay, so one of his friend become priest, second friend become a businessman who used to arrange transport facilities towards pilgrims, and third friend become a contractor, a catering contractor of for the Southern Railways. During the annual Sri Sitarama Kalyanam ceremony, that is Kalyan Utsavam, means marriage festival. It is a ceremony of redeception of the marriage between Sita and Ram. So it was Kalyan Utsav was basically redeception of the marriage of Sita and Ram. Our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site, situated in the middle of the pond called Rama Tirtha, which was near the house. So Rama Tirtha was somewhere in middle of the pond. So what their family used to do, APJ Abdul Kalam family used to arrange a system, arrange a boat which used to carry those idols of Ram and Sita at the middle of the pond, and that middle of the pond is known as Ram Tirtha. Now, events from Ramayana and from the life of the prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. So what he had always listened, he has listened the stories about Prophet Muhammad and the stories of the Ramayana. So Ramayana and the stories about prophet were his bedtime stories, which his mother and grandmother used to narrate. One day, when I was in the 5th standard at Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in front row next to Ramanda Shastri, who wore the sacred thread. So, APJ Abdul Kalam was a Muslim boy, and a Muslim boy usually wear a topi, which is a cap on their head, which distinguished them with other students. So, one day a new teacher came in the 5th standard at Rameshwaram Elementary School, and he saw that a Muslim boy, that is APJ Abdul Kalam, was sitting just beside Ramanda, who is wearing a sacred thread of Brahmins. Look, you can see in the picture that APJ Abdul Kalam is sitting with wearing a cap, and Ramanda is wearing the sacred thread. The new teacher could not tolerate a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with our social ranking, as the new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramanda Sastri. He looked utterly downcast, that is, sad or depressed. As I shifted to my seat in the last row, the image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. So what happened? The teacher was very orthodox kind of person, and he cannot tolerate that a Muslim boy is sitting with a Brahmanical priest's son. So what he did, he asked APJ Abdul Kalam to go and sit at the back. Now this hurts the feeling of both APJ Abdul Kalam as well as Ramanda. So when APJ Abdul Kalam was shifting his place, when he was moving towards the last row, Ramanda was wiping his tears. After school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshman Sastri summoned, called the teacher, and in our presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. So what happened? Just like any other children, they went to the houses and they narrated the entire scenario to their parents. Now here the Lakshman Sastri called the teacher and asked and said that he should not spread the poison, and he should not spread this social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of children. Yes, of course, we all are children of God, and this kind of inequality should not be tolerated. So they had discussed this thing with the teacher. Now, he bluntly, speaking in a direct and honest way, even if this offends or upsets people, asked the teacher to either apologize, seek pardon, or quit to leave the school and the island. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction, that is a strong opinion or belief Lakshman Sastri conveyed or communicated, ultimately reformed this young teacher. So when he was asked, he was bluntly said, the teacher was bluntly asked to ask the pardon, to ask the forgiveness because of his behavior which has hurt the feelings of the people. So he was asked that either he has to ask the forgiveness or he has to leave the island and school forever. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid, strict in terms of segregation, that is separate of different social groups. Okay, so the Rameshwaram people, the people of Rameshwaram, they don't like to divide people on the basis of their religion. However, my science teacher Shiva Subramaniam Iyer taught an orthodox one who follows the religion strictly, Brahmin, with a very conservative traditional wife, was something of a rebel in opposition. So here, on the whole, the sum of the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid and strict in terms of the segregation, that is separation of the different social groups. So there was his teacher whose name was Shiva Subramaniam Iyer, who was Brahmin and who was has a very conservative traditional wife, was in opposition with the thought. He did his best to break the social barriers that people from varying backgrounds could mingle, interact with each other easily. He used to spend hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with at the same level the highly educated people of the big cities. So he always encouraged, as he didn't like that people divide them into different groups. So he used to say that, Kalam, I want you to become a better citizen, and I want you to achieve equal position in the society like other educated people have in the city. Now, one day he invited me to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of Muslim boy being invited, because as it was earlier mentioned that his wife was very spiritual and she was very strict Brahmin. So when he invited Kalam to his house, she was very horrified. Her ritually pure, kept protected from all outside influences for the observation of the religion. Kitchen. She refused to serve me in her kitchen. Shiva Subramaniam Iyer was not perturbed, that is upset, nor did he get angry with his wife, but instead served me with his own hand and sat down beside me to eat his meal. So what happened when he invited Kalam to his house? His wife was very upset, and his wife was not ready to serve Kalam. But here, rather than getting upset and rather than getting annoyed with his wife, he served Kalam with his own hand, and even he sat beside him and ate the meal. His wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. I wonder whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water, cleaned the floor after the meal. When I was leaving his house, Shiva Subramaniam Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again next week. So what happened when they were eating? His wife was the teacher's wife was observing them from behind the kitchen door, and he thought that whether she has observed any difference in the way APJ Abdul Kalam was eating the rice or drinking the water or cleaning the floor after the meal. So Shiva Subramaniam Iyer has invited the Kalam again to his house for the dinner. Now, observing my hesitation, doubt, delay, he told me not to get upset, saying once you decided to change the system, such problem have to be confronted. So what he said that when he invited him again, he was a bit worried. Kalam was a bit worried and was a little confused at whether he should come again or not. But he said that don't worry, we have to face all the situation when we want to change the situation. When I visited his house next week, Shiva Subramaniam Iyer wife took me inside her kitchen and served me food with her own hands. What happened? When next time he came, Shiva Subramaniam Iyer's wife has served the food with her own hand. So this is how the system changed. We have to take a steps. Look, we can see in the picture that she is serving with her own hands. Then the Second World War was over. India's freedom was imminent, about to happen. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. The whole country was filled with the unprecedented, never done or known before optimism, hope and cheer. So what happened? The Second World War was over and India was about to achieve the freedom. Gandhiji said that India will have its own freedom, and that filled the happiness and optimism, that is a positive feeling, positive vibe all over the world, all over the India basically. I asked my father for permission to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanthampuram. He told me, as if thinking aloud, Abdul, I you have to go away to grow. Does the seagull not fly across the sun alone and without a nest? So what happens when he asks his father for the permission to go outskirts and study in city in Ramanthampuram? His father says that Abdul, I know you have to go away to grow. That it is very much necessary that if we want to grow, we have to leave our houses. Just like a seagull, if wants to learn to fly, has to leave the nest. He quoted Khalil Gibran to my hesitant mother, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing, desire for itself. They come through you, but not from you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts." So what happens? His father quoted from the poem by Khalil Gibran, which says that your daughters and your son, who are they have come in the world through you, but they do not belong to you. They belong to the world. They have got their own thought and they have got their own ability, and it is very much necessary that they have to live for the growth and development. Okay, so this was a story about APJ Abdul Kalam, and it was very good story which gives us the moral, which teaches us that how we have to live with all the unity and how we have to keep on going even though there are a lot of obstacles, even though there are a lot of problems in our way, but the spirit of never giving up can lead an ordinary person to a position of a 11th president of India. I hope I am very much clear to you all students. Thank you so much. Have a very good day.